What up? What up? Not moved. We are back. Excuse me. We are back for a beautiful, well, a little longer podcast episode. I apologize. We've been gone for a couple of weeks. I've been busy doing lively things, more with school, just life. But we are back and we're going to be talking about the recaps through week 5 and week 10. I have my guest, of course, with me, Bag. How are you doing, sir?
Man, I can't complain, big dog. Another day, another day. How about yourself?
Another day, another dollar. I can say the exact same thing, good sir. But starting off here, how do you? My first question is I just want a rough summary from you first. I just want a nice little pitch. What do you feel so far as how Baltimore has been, just as a whole? If you had to give a pitch.
I mean, it's still up in the air. If you really think about it. Um, we have put together collective wins, which is good to always good to see. But also at the same time, we had a we had a bad start coming out the breaks. In the beginning of the season, we lost to a lot of good teams. Won against not so good teams, quote unquote. So it's still kind of up in the air. Like what I've seen the last 2 weeks defensively, especially. I would like to see the offense pick it up a little bit faster, especially with the scripted plays. Um, but yeah, it's still a toss up. How about yourself?
I could agree with you. I just feel like right now there is some things that we really got to clean up if we want a chance. A lot. And I think a lot of people in the podcast they know because they've been. If you guys are on TikTok or anything like that, you guys know what I be spilling. But honestly, I think the biggest thing is honestly we just got to do better with the run game. It's what I've been saying all year. We got to do better with this run game. We have to do better with this defense. I think it's gotten better in recent weeks, especially with games like the Chicago Bears, the Vikings, but at the same time, I also feel like that is partly because now our team is starting to get a little healthier, which we'll talk about late in a minute. But right now, I just feel like like you said, it's kind of in the air where it's like it's looking 50-50. Like I don't really know how to feel about it. And to me, that's kind of scary because a lot of times, especially in recent years, we kind of knew a well grand scheme of things of what was going to happen or where we were going to end up and going. Right now, we don't see that. So that's where I'm like kind of in the middle where I'm like, yes, but it's I don't really know. Like there's a lot of good, but there's also a lot of bad.
Yeah, I definitely agree. That's why I said it's up in the air because you're right. It is kind of 50-50. Um, what would be the three biggest key points that you would say to successfully make the playoffs and potentially win a division that we need to solidify out the gate?
I mean, I've been saying it all year. Do I need to preach about the guy anymore? I mean, have we not like I don't know. To me, I feel like this is kind of a very big Derrick Henry down year. And I kind of blame our offensive coordinator and John Harbaugh for this, considering the fact that one, we're playing with a lot of injured players. Two, a lot of the grand scheme of things when we were trying to run the ball before Patrick Ricard was really healthy wasn't really good. And if anything, we tried sticking with Derrick Henry too much. I feel like there is a lot of times in those games, especially when Patrick Ricard, Isaiah Likely was out, so we couldn't do the 12 personnel that consistently. I felt like we could have had a lot more players out there like Justice Hill and Keem Mitchell, which doesn't really make sense to me as to now why they're just now starting to get involved. I feel like it would have been much better having those guys more involved when things were getting in a much more unhealthy situation, if you get my drift.
100%. And this is why constantly been on the notion that everybody wants to blame Lamar Jackson in these playoff losses. And Tina's, I've proudly stood on business that it is John Harbaugh and the coaching before Lamar. I'm not obfuscating Lamar. I would like and love to see MVP Lamar Jackson in these
Yeah.
playoff games.
And
But
I
that doesn't happen more or less because of the scheme and the game plan that John Harbaugh and the OC wants to cook up. Like Todd Monken is a great offensive coordinator, but he gets in his own way sometimes.
he
But
does.
it's situational that is more John Harbaugh. And the reason why I say it's more John Harbaugh because uh this isn't a new instant, right? This is a reoccurring theme of
Yep.
situational play calling before Todd Monken got there.
Yep. And
So,
this is even something I discussed last year where even if we look at it right and genuinely dissect a lot of the run game, and I've even looked into like a lot, even if you see it on stats, I mean, it's kind of disappointing how I'm seeing a guy like Derrick Henry, who, when it comes to 15 carries, gets less than just a bare of 70 yards. But if you give him 20 carries, he gets over 110. And there's some games where even now he's only getting 90 yards. So I kind of don't understand. Like, I feel like there's a Rome grand scheme of things where we really need to start getting more people involved with this run game. I need to see more Keem Mitchell. I need to see more Justice Hill like we did last week. I really do. Because right now, while yes, I can see why people blame Lamar, but my thing with that one is I think he's probably one of the only reasons why John Harbaugh is literally with us right now. And if you look at my story, like since Lamar has been with us, it has been constant eyes on what John Harbaugh has been doing. Because even if you look at, like, for example, the whole locker room situation a week or two ago, where John Harbaugh didn't take all the stuff out, Lamar did,
mm-hmm,
and
exactly.
that tells me two things. One, Lamar is actually trying to do what I've been wanting him to do all of my life. And that is grow a pair of balls and start being a man and doing things yourself. Because while yes, you are a great leader on the field, though you have to show it on the field as well. Well, off the field as well. The second thing is, and this goes with John Harbaugh, by God, you are one neglect ass. I'm sorry. That's my opinion. The fact that it took you almost 10 weeks. Yes, I'm banging my desk because I'm this mad. It took him 10 weeks. 10 weeks to tell players, yeah, let's lock in and throw out the distractions. This should have happened after, not even after camp, during camp.
Yep. But this is what happens when you don't play any of your starters in the preseason.
Yep.
And I get they took a game away, so you have four less quarters to dissecting who's going to be on the roster, right? I understand that that's what majority of that is for.
Right.
But also in the same notion, when you don't play any of your starters that really count, I get training camp is for that as well, but you want live reps, in game competition with your guys. Just get their feet wet a little bit,
Yeah.
right? And you're right. It took 10 weeks, but the one thing that I wanted to see since probably week 2 for sure, because I think that's when I made that video about him. Falele is still starting, and every game, at least 5 to 6 times, you see him spinning in a circle, lost, like he's in a washing machine,
Stars.
right? And every time the pocket breaks down on passing plays, it's from the right side majority of the time.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes Ronnie Stanley, you're not going to win every rep. We know that.
Yeah, he's a veteran online. He's getting old. He's getting pretty old.
Yeah, but 7 out of 10 reps, he's got it, and I'm cool with that. But Falele and Rosengarten's better than Falele.
For
Still
sure.
not a great right tackle, but he's serviceable. But The problem is that Falele is so bad that Tyler Linderbaum and Rosengarten have to try to make up for his lack of ability and his lack of IQ, right? Because as big as he is, I get you're not going to be fast on the first step, sure, but you have to be good in technique. You have to know where to put your hands, right? You're running around here hugging guys and just barely touching him. You are going to get somebody hurt.
Yep.
Did you see that roughing the passer against Minnesota this past week? That when Lamar got sacked.
I saw a few of the picks, but not the roughing the passer. I've seen most of the touchdowns and most grand scheme of things, but not the roughing the passer. No.
Okay, they did a blitz, and you know how Brian Flores, he's great with just designing the exotic blitzes at the line, and it was a good exotic blitz. But when you get your hand on a guy, bro, you have to make some type of contact to avoid him getting a clean, full bull rush right past you. You got to
Well,
deter him some way, somehow.
it takes more than just turning him. That mostly is just a lack of sealing off.
Yeah.
Because see, when you create a pocket, I wish I could green screen it, but there's high cage, low cage.
Mm-hmm.
Very different grand scheme of things. And my thing is if I am not having a tackle to at least at a minimum washing down those high cages, yeah, it's gonna look like a lot of shit. And this is why we see a lot of times, even in speed option plays, it doesn't even come in pass plays. We see this even on run plays where
Run plays.
when Lamar, tries to do speed option, or even in like read option plays when it comes to his RPOs. There is times where even in his blind side, he has to overcompensate and run outside the pocket just to make the play.
Yep.
There's little things like that that I can see where I'm like, okay, like it's not a bad rep, like, but we could do a lot better. What the fuck?
But
Excuse
when you
my
add,
French.
but when you add those type of plays into the literal blown assignments that Falele has, it all computes, and it's not good offensive line, right? It's the reason why drives tend to stall out, right?
Agree.
We get over the 50, we get to the 30, and now we got to have Tyler Loop kick 4 field goals to be up on the Minnesota Vikings 12-9.
Yeah, and I agree. And that's one of the biggest things for me where I was like, okay, what are we doing that it takes to move the ball? That is the thing that's for me the biggest problem right now. Because while yes, we can make big plays, it's always fun and time to have make great big plays, but we're not going to be doing those type of plays against teams like Kansas City, teams like I can even say the Buffalo Bills, even though I know Josh Allen isn't playing that good. But I can properly say right now, we still don't know what could happen with that team. And then to further it off even more, we even got underrated teams right now doing just as better as us, like the Colts, the Broncos, which I get it. Most people wouldn't say they're an underrated team. But at the same time, when you kind of have an offense where it's like, and your defense is,
Yeah. But then it goes to how your schedule has been played and who you played. It's all context.
oh yeah, it is all context, 100%. But at the same time, I'm not going to take that away from what they have done with their record so far.
Yeah, because you still have to go out and produce on the field. You have to execute your game plan,
Exactly.
right?
And,
So we get that.
and that's my biggest thing. And this is where I can even go into the grand scheme of things, even if we look at Kansas City. That was an utter embarrassment for John Harbaugh. And this is my point of what I said during the preseason with you all this time. Cooper Rush needs to go now.
Yep. Yeah, he shouldn't even have been here. Shouldn't even have came. And this is when Lamar went down. I've always said that Eric DaCosta was the second best GM in the league next to Howie Roseman. I
Mhm.
no longer feel that way because without Lamar Jackson on the field, it showed you the deficiencies in his drafting. Right? He's either shooting way too high and drafting a raw prospect that's the job to develop them. But the ones that you're drafting aren't developing, right? Like you just had to trade Owe because yes, he had a 10 sack season last year, but that was because the duality and the amount of people, defensive ends, you could rotate in and out the game. You gave offensive line so many different looks, right? With Jadavian Clowney, with Calvin Noy, right? It threw offensive coordinators off the step, keep them off balance. But now when you just have just a few select guys that are supposed to go out there and dominate, play after play, and you don't produce that coming from a draft, especially after 5 years. We had Owe for 5 years, bro.
I
Whole
know.
rookie contract.
Yep.
You can't keep swinging and missing like that. And then you're drafting players that are hurt. Emory
That I
Jones,
don't understand.
Emory Jones this year, right? You
Mhm.
tackle. You okay? He's hurt. He hasn't played not one snap this year. What was the point of drafting him? It's a wasted draft pick. A couple
Yeah.
years ago, David Ajoba, even though I had a lot of faith in him coming off that injury after we did draft him, why are we drafting guys that have torn anything?
Well, to give it a little bit of a defense, I also can't take that away from certain players because at the same time, that is a very big thing in the league now. Like, you're not going to tell me a single offensive lineman who doesn't have at least a brace on or at some Ram scheme of things has had at least surgery before.
I'm cool with them having a surgery while they were in their college career, right? But I would like to be from their sophomore year so you could see how they bounce back from the injury, right? You
Right.
don't you don't draft somebody who's in the draft process, but they just got hurt
Yeah. Yeah.
because you don't know. Even in the league, we don't know how guys are going to come back after injury if
Jair,
they're going to be the
even
same.
Jair, when we picked him up,
Yeah,
which
right. Like
I love the kid. I love the guy. I think he's a great athlete. But I just feel like there was a lot of things where, and I don't even blame him for leaving, going to Philadelphia, honestly. I think it was more of because of a lot of the problems going on from week one, then later on, I feel
mhm.
like it was kind of a thing where we had to overcompensate and use him. And that to me is sad because then that tells me that everybody else around is still trying to get their shit together as well. Because then when you had Zach Garr having Roquan Smith, God bless he fixed this, but this is another thing that we even talked about in the past where when you have a guy like Roquan Smith who is supposed to be known as a run stopper, pure run stop blitzing linebacker, and you put this guy 7 to 10 yards out in coverage, that is a complete liability for the entire box, especially knowing that you have a rookie as our edge rusher. What are you doing? What are we doing? Like, God bless. I'm not going to lie to you. I think Mike Green has improved. I think David Ajobu is doing his thing. I'm not going to take what they've done away from them because I think they're doing pretty well. But at the same time, when you do stuff like that in the beginning of the season, it really then makes you ask questions on, hey, why is Roquan not making a lot of these plays?
I second that. Uh, I was a big proponent on the Jair Alexander signing. Two reasons is because I thought that John Harbaugh was going to play it smart, which I don't know why I even had any kind of faith in that, but I did because he came into training camp late, right before week one when we played Buffalo. He was limited practice and he was questionable. It was game time decision. So then in the first week, you play him in the most crucial minutes of the game, knowing that he's still like a little injured. That's the reason why Green Bay got rid of him, right?
Overcompensation.
Exactly. And if you're gonna take a guy that's injured in a free agency, let him heal. If he is limited in week 1 and he is an older, aging player, why are you gonna rush him back? That was
Fact.
the problem that Green Bay kept running into, right? The
Mm-hmm.
reason why I was so like confident in the signing, this was my key quote. For Green Bay, they would rush him back because he was a necessity.
Yeah.
For us, I thought he would be a luxury,
Yeah.
right?
Because of
Because
the
we got
environment we had.
because we had a Darius Washington until he got hurt. Until we got a what's his name? Ozue, Choke Ozue.
Mm-hmm.
We signed him. Nate Wiggins, Marlon Humphrey, right? We got first rounders all over the deep in the DB room, in the safety room. First round, first round, first round, first round.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, okay, another first round DB. All right, we can use him as a luxury. We
Right.
got a young TJ Tampa, that probably could have did a lot better if he would have got that PT in week 1. I
Mhm.
have faith in him guarding Josh Palmer or Keon Coleman in week 1 opposed to a hurt Jair Alexander.
Oh yeah, every time. Every time.
So but yeah, I agree. I'm happy for him that he, went over to Philly because it just wasn't working out what was going on in the locker room and how it was playing out over here. And I do second you about the leadership with Lamar because
Mm-hmm.
when when I heard that they took all the games and stuff out, I said, "Oh yeah, way to go, hardball! Way to go, hardball!" And then the next day, he gets on TV and says that it wasn't his idea. And then Lamar comes out and says, "I told the equipment manager to take that." I said, "You know what? Not only on the field are you the Baltimore Ravens, but inside the locker room, you are the Baltimore Ravens. Everything flows and runs through Lamar Jackson." And now, if Eric DeCosta, this offseason, because this is the last year that Lamar Jackson has guaranteed money on that extension that he signed, if we do not hit Lamar Jackson with a Patrick Mahomes type deal, 10 plus years, Eric DeCosta needs to be fired. And John Harbaugh already needs to go. So we need a 10-year extension for Lamar, and you and Lamar and Steve Buscemi, all three of y'all sit down
And have a
and y'all come
conversation.
together to try to find your guy at the
Yep.
head coaching position. That's
Ye-
what needs to happen.
Facts.
And Zach Orr needs to go as well.
No, definitely Zach Gore. Oh, don't even get me started on that guy. Nah, that's the number one guy on my list. I'm like, don't get me wrong. Like, I can see where people want John Harbaugh gone, but then I also can see the other side where it's like, who's gonna replace his job? Which I get it. I get it. He hasn't done a lot, but I think we both kind of know this is kind of a Mike Tomlin situation. No offense.
Yeah, I mean, to a certain extent, because they both got cachet, they both got the legacy, they both have Super Bowls. It's and Sean McDermott. He doesn't have the Super Bowl, but he's on the hot seat too. So
But that's not what I mean, though. Like, when I mean by Mike Tomlin situation, I mean he is trying so like John Harbaugh right now is trying so hard to be a player's coach rather than being a team coach. There are two different things than trying to care for the players and care for the team. Those are two different things, and not a lot of people in the grand scheme of football understand that. There's rules that have to be established for the team and rules for the player. Those are two different things. This is why there's a thing called accountability and expectation. And if you don't have those things lined up, you're not going to have a good grand of scheme of things when understanding what's going to go on.
so I would say John Harbaugh is 100% lacking and missing accountability.
Correct.
The expectations are there. The expectations are for the Ravens to make the Super Bowl. It has been for the last 3 years for sure, right? But pretty much ever since Lamar stepped foot into the Baltimore Ravens stadium and got drafted and walked across that stage, and he said so himself. That's part of the reason why,
Mhm.
right? Quote unquote. you're gonna get a Super Bowl out of me, right? That
Yeah.
starts the expectation, you know. But the expectation also comes from John Harbaugh because you've won one already. You won one already.
And who did he have?
That
Let's
right?
not count those two out. I'm not counting those two out because look,
No.
not even Ray Lewis and Ed Reed liked them. And if I know this. I have been a Baltimore Ravens fan. If
Mm-hmm.
this guy right here didn't like him, we
Mm-hmm.
have a problem.
Ed Reed came out and said, "We won that Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
That was the guys.
No facts.
We didn't care what Harbaugh was saying. When he came in, nobody really liked him. The way he tried to, you know, divide the locker room and since throw his weight and his authority around and make sure he was. Everybody know I'm the new sheriff in town,
Mm-hmm.
and it rubbed players the wrong way.
It did. It very much did. I agree. Especially when you're trying to really keep the organization consistent. While, yes, a lot of people can say, oh, yeah, we've been consistent. At the same time, we have looked for the past, I'd say, 3 years stagnant. Like, don't get me wrong. I give credit to Lamar and all in 2023, but for John Harbaugh, that was stagnant as hell. In last year, stagnant. This year, detriment.
Mm-hmm.
Do you
Mm-hmm.
do we see the problem? When you are going to sit here and tell me that we went from an AFC championship, we lose to that same team a couple years ago in a divisional round, and now we have all this with players getting injured, players having distractions inside the locker room, not even outside the locker room of the scheme of things. I can understand, hey, I mean, if you're trying to rest and be at home and if you're injured, yeah, go do you. But you're here. What? That doesn't make sense.
None at all. None at all. But that's what happens when you have John Harbaugh, right? These are the things that tend to arise because if you ask me, like we just covered, the last Super Bowl was because of the two leaders on defense, and I got to give Joe Flacco his credit.
Oh, yeah.
That playoff run that he had, 11 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, 1,200 yards, 1,300 yards, fabulous. So because of those major key components are the reason why we won that Super Bowl. Now let me ask you, from 2012 until 2018, up until week 9. Yes, when week 9 was when Joe Flacco got hurt and Lamar came in. Tell me that 6-year span and 9 weeks of football of what the Ravens were
Oh, we were
and what did they do?
flat. We didn't really do a lot. That's the thing.
Right. But what is the common denominator?
John
Harbaugh. All right. You got the two guys on defense and Joe Flacco, you win your Super Bowl. In between that, in 2018 and week 9, before Lamar Jackson sets foot on that football field and has not gave up the starting job since then, is the only relative good football and great seasons that John Harbaugh has under his belt.
Correct me if I'm wrong too. Didn't we also have a Terrell Suggs after Ray Lewis retired?
Yes, for
A couple of years,
a
right?
couple years, yes. Then
I
he
was
went
about
to
to say it was
Arizona.
at least 2 years.
Yeah, for sure. It might have been longer than that.
Okay, yeah.
It might have been longer than that. I think when Lamar got drafted is when he went to Arizona.
Okay, that would make sense. That would make sense because I was gonna say because I remember even when Ray Lewis was gone, that Terrell was still there and trying to do his best to keep the grand scheme of things, but no, it didn't work, and that's why he left. Which honestly, I don't even blame half of them because then we went from receivers like Sammy Watkins.
Yeah. Michael Crabtree. Dez Bryant.
Oh, geez, don't even get me started with no,
Yeah.
don't
Hey, look.
don't do it.
Hey, man. I had to live through it too, bro. I had to live
Oh
through it
God,
too.
I forgot he was there.
The people don't remember, man. Listen.
That's probably the one receiver I forgot. I've always remembered this Cowboy, not a Baltimore Raven.
No, never. No.
Love Des Bryant, but God bless your soul, my guy. Anyways, though, but yeah, I definitely get what you're saying. So I feel like right now that's just one of the biggest theme, grand scheme of things that I've even said since the beginning of the season that you gotta lock in, John, or
Hmm.
else we're throwing you out of here. Like I'm giving him one more year. And the only reason why I'm giving him that one more year is because we don't have a replacement yet.
Yeah,
That's
and
the only reason.
that'd be self-sabotage right now.
It is. It is sabotaging. It is. It is very sabotaging to say that. But at the same time and token,
No,
what
not to say it. I'm saying if we were to do that, if we were to fire him right here in the middle of the season, that would be self-sabotage for our season.
Oh yeah. Yes.
Like because even at 1-5, like even as much as I don't like John Harbaugh, I was not. I was saying that he needs to be fired, but meaning at the end of the year.
Actually, speaking of that 1-5, ask me this question because this is something I've asked like plenty of fans, and I still don't understand his ideology of this theme. You're 1-5. That day after that game, when you're 1-5, you go out in ESPN and say that you still have a chance of making it to the playoffs. What?
I mean, yeah, you have
There's
most.
got to be a change, though.
Yeah, sure. I don't disagree with that. Right, but you have to read it for what it really is, right? As long as the numbers add up to where you mathematically can make the playoffs, then you still have to strive for it. That's the reason why I said at the end of the year, fire him, right? Because if we're 1-5
Okay.
and there's no percentage mathematically possible, even, a probable, whatever adjective you want to use, chance to make the playoffs, then yes, Harbaugh, bye bye, gotta go.
Yeah,
But
because
because the numbers did match up and there was a possibility, because look at what right now, we're one game away from winning, like being in first in the division. Now that the Steelers lost to the Chargers yesterday or Sunday,
and I can only thank two people for that.
so it's like I I agree with you. He shouldn't have came out and said it. It's not the time.
It
Like,
definitely was not the time to say
yeah,
that.
that shouldn't have been the focus, right? The focus should have been on getting everything together in the locker room and then striving to do that.
Thank you.
There's nothing wrong with making that your goal, but you don't come out the day after you just got dog walked by the Houston Texans, 44 to like what 6, you
Mhm.
know, and say, "Oh well, we still got a chance to make the playoffs." That's the dumb coaching stuff that I'm
Like
talking about.
like, Bag, you have no idea when I saw that, bro, I lost my mind because I'm sitting here and I'm like, why would you say this after how we have been doing with the grand scheme of things for the past not 1, not 2, but 3 weeks with 3 2 of them are actually decent teams. One is like, they're kinda in the middle. But even with that, they still blew us out. So I'm sitting here and I'm like, okay, we're in the midpoints of the season. We're right now already past. Yes, we do have a chance of even making possibly being first in the division. But it doesn't mean at the same time, though, in the grand scheme of things, that we still have like 100% guarantee. And that's kind of my problem is where people are like, oh, we have a guaranteed chance. No, we don't. I'd say if anything, it is probably 45 to at most 50%. Is a coin flip at this point.
Oh, well, it was so we are favorite to win the division with 58% now
Figured
after the
last
last
week.
few games.
Yeah,
Yeah, after the
I
Miami
figured that.
Minnesota game. It was so when we were 2-5 and we were getting ready to play Miami, we
Mhm.
still had a 51 or 52% mathematical
Chance.
chance percentage, yeah, to win the division. So it's not far fetched, like I said, just because the math does math. But I understand the sentiment of how you feel and the time and when and how he said it,
And
right?
that's my problem.
And I don't disagree, and I 100% understand.
Because at the same time, it's like when you do something like that, and especially when you haven't even changed the grand schemes of the program, let alone what's going on with the team, it kind of goes back to the theme that we just said 10 minutes earlier, where, hey, hello, you're lacking some accountability. We kind of need to wake up because there is a problem at hand, and you're not taking a hold of that. You're sitting here trying to make it seem like, yeah, we can fix it just like Felix. Not everything is fixed like Felix, because right now we're looking like Wreck-It Ralph just destroyed the entire building. And Lamar by himself is trying to be Felix.
Yep. He's trying to be that anchor. And I
Lit-
get it. He is the franchise guy. But why are ever since he's got here, it's been all on Lamar. The point of getting and drafting a quarterback and having a franchise quarterback, you want to build a supporting cast that he can rely on. Like
Yeah.
why it's every other season to me it seems like not not lately. We had a lot of like big losses in the playoffs, but I'm just talking about before it was Zay Flowers, right? Before Bateman started getting healthy and be able to produce, before going out signing Derrick Henry. What was the Baltimore Ravens? It was play action, RPO, Lamar
Mhm.
Jackson run 1,200 yards, right?
Right.
And
It was like a
Mark
Michael Vick
Andrews.
play. It reminded me
And
a lot of Michael Vick.
yeah, and Mark Andrews. That was it,
Yeah.
pretty much. That was essentially it. He tried to uplift, and he did, especially in 2019 with the skill set receivers that he had, Willie, what's his name? Sneed, yeah, Willie Sneed,
Mhm.
Boykins, James Porche, Duvernay. Like these are good, serviceable guys. But when the game is tight and it's on the line, and if you've thrown the ball to Hollywood Brown throughout the game and he's already done dropped three crucial first down passes, it makes you a little skeptical to throw him the ball, at crucial time when it's game. We need this,
Yeah.
and I can see it because I I give respect more off the field, especially because he took the game stuff away. When it comes to Lamar's leadership, I would like to see a little bit more poise on the field, right?
From Lamar or the team?
No, Lamar, specifically Lamar,
Okay.
right? Like I understand you're not. We're all emotional people. We're all that's just who we are. But
Yeah.
certain times, there's certain stuff that I see him do on the field and on the sideline that I don't like, right? Because I would, and I
Mhm.
hate to compare it to a Tom Brady, right, or a Peyton, right? But there's certain you can get animated, right, and you can be passionate, but sometimes I get the not resentment, but like standoffish,
Mhm.
right? It's really standoffish on certain body language that he does. And I just wish he would, kind of compose that a little bit more.
I agree. But at the same time, and this is my personal opinion on it, because I've seen the body language you're talking about. I for once don't blame him for a lot of reasons, actually, because you kind of have to break it down like this. One, this guy's been in the playoffs multiple times. He's even been in the AFC Championship. So that tells me that he has a chance of doing something, right? But at the same time, like how you said, there's been multiple chances where we have had the roster on paper, but it goes by the execution scheme of things. It has been the same thing Lamar has been dealing with since he's been drafted. If I am sitting here as a QB at his shoes, I'm not going to lie to you. I would do the same thing because at this point, it's getting to the point to where it is looking stagnated and it's becoming a detriment. And when that happens, you know what does happen? Your team starts pointing the fingers instead of just pointing the thumb. That's the problem. So I hear you. It doesn't look good on in the field. I understand. But if you really look at it and take it all in totality, I can kind of understand why he's pissed off. I understand why he's sitting there pounding like, damn, I really can't do shit out of this. Because at this point, I'm bringing in even the guys I played with, and at the same time, we ain't doing nothing with it. If anything, we're just getting them worse. We're injuring them. We're costing people's lives and careers because of this. That becomes an absolute lack of chemistry from not even just the organization, but with Lamar even trying to get close to even dealing with that organization in the office.
Yeah, but when you, I get what you understand. I mean, what you're saying, and I understand. The reason why I pointed that out is because a young Zay Flowers, when he dives across the end zone and he gets the ball punch out,
Yeah.
right? You can't start, grabbing your helmet, throwing it on the ground. Like, you got to go put your arm around him and reassure him,
Mm-hmm.
right? And even if you are skeptical, because I understand, like I said, that you don't want to throw him the ball again, like with Hollywood when he dropped it 3 times. I understand that internally you might feel that way, but you cannot show that on the field and on
True.
the sideline,
I'll give
right?
you that. Yeah.
Because, like you said, instead of pointing the thumb at yourself, basically through your body language, you're pointing fingers at other people.
That's true. I'll give you that. And another thing that this is actually, so I'm glad you kind of mentioned say because this is something that very much it doesn't really annoy me with him, but at the same time, I feel like at the same time and token when it comes to him, I feel like he can be a little bit inconsistent because, for example, at the beginning of the season, he was a top 5 wide receiver. Now he's reaching to the point to where he's barely just touching top 15.
That has a lot to do with Lamar Jackson missing 3 games, 3.5 games.
Oh no, I'm not disagreeing, but at the same time and token, then when he comes back, what are we doing?
I mean, we're not playing for Zay Flowers' personal record.
No, nah, I know, and I get that.
Like,
I'm not, but at the same time, when you have him looking like your number one receiver and possible option to him maybe getting 5 targets,
but
that
that was
that
But
kind of
that's been the game plan though. Like, we got so many mouths to feed already, right? Like, between
I
Isaiah
hear
Likely,
you.
Mark Andrews, Zay Flowers, Rashad Bateman, still got the young guys,
No,
that you want to kind of sprinkle in there, right?
yeah, and I hear you, but at the same time, there has to be a sense of growth. And if I don't see that sense of growth, even from guys that have been there multiple years, this is exactly why I've had the problems with Mark Andrews. We talked about this, where when you have a guy like Mark Andrews, who is supposed to be a top 5 tight end, you're supposed to be our guy. Because we all know he's probably hands down the number one option for Lamar. It's literally him and Zay. I don't care what anybody says. So when you have two guys like that that are supposed to be the guy, and when it comes to these type of game situations, yes, I get it. Mark Andrews has been stepping up, and I'm not going to take that away from him. But then at the same time, in token, it's not going to really look the same when we're facing tough teams like Pittsburgh, tough teams like Kansas City, tough teams like the Lions. It's not going to show that. And that kind of is what fears me is that when you then go to the playoffs, try to actually do something with it. What are we going to do if none of these players are still trying to be consistent at the level they were at the beginning of the season? There has to be a sense of consistency and a sense of improvement. And if that doesn't show, then it creates a liability because then when you actually try to take those chances, it's playing with marbles, bro. It's basically it's kind of like gambling, literally. Like no offense.
I agree, and that was the problem in 2023 in the AFC Championship, right? You We were the number one team in rushing, over 3,000 yards, right? Lamar had 1,100 on the ground himself.
Yep.
Then we get to the AFC Championship game and you run the ball 6 times in the first half. You wave the white flag. Like, okay, I understand in game uh, uh, changes, right? Like you have to adjust in game adjustments. Okay, you got to go with what's with information you have at hand. But you don't voluntarily abandon what you've been doing all year and try something new, because that's essentially what you're talking about, right?
Thank you.
You're
Yeah.
getting away what you were doing in the beginning of the year. You're slacking and you're lackadaisical, and then going into the playoffs because it's not been routine and you haven't been doing it all year. It's like you said, it's a marble shot, right? You're just
Yeah.
shooting just to shoot. So I get the concept and the ideology behind it, because that's exactly why we lost that game in the AFC Championship.
Mhm. And so that's just right now, just one of the biggest things I think we really got to start keying on is just, I just feel like right now our team, meaning the personnel, needs to start trusting in what's around them and also trust in themselves. I feel like a lot of those players are going through things that I don't think that a lot of them speak on about realistically, because there's no way you're going to tell me that it's just on the field stuff. It's no way.
I mean, and that's hard to kind of do, because, okay, say if I gave you, I need you to go to California, right? I give you a car and I give you a map. Say the GPS doesn't work, but I give you a map and I want you to go to California for me, right?
Mhm.
And you take that trip and you follow every direction, which is AKA the game plan or the scheme, right? In this analogy. And at the end of the trip, you end up in Dallas, Texas. How much faith the next time I go to send you to California that you're actually going to make it to California? The hope is not going to be there. You're not going to, no, because you already gave me bad directions and pushed me in the wrong direction the first time. Right?
Right.
And that's essentially what is going on between the battle between John Harbaugh and Lamar Jackson, right? Because Lamar, and this is what builds the frustration up, because Lamar's like, okay, I keep trusting you, you know, to okay, us together, we can make this happen. But I keep going off of your directions and your game plan, and it's not producing, especially in the situational and key moments in the most important games of the season.
Yeah.
And this is why I said at the end of the year, head coaching vacancy, defensive coordinator vacancy, and a 10-year extension for Lamar Jackson. If those three things do not happen this offseason, regardless if we can make the playoffs and even win the Super Bowl, even after a Super Bowl win, I still want those three things to happen,
Mhm.
because I'm not going to be fooled by a. This is exactly what happened last time, right? We got fooled by John Harbaugh winning the championship off the backs of off the players, and not him being the forefront, and then getting extended, and then just this gracious period of, okay, yeah, John is just solidified. That's your job until you feel as though you're ready to leave. That's your job. I ain't trying to hear none of that.
No facts. Genuinely. Especially when it comes to like genuinely trying to actually keep the players that we know that can actually do their job and do them well. I kind of would feel like, in a sense, that's kind of like smacking Lamar in the face, because he's what? He's gonna be in his seventh, eighth year next year.
25, yes, ninth,
Yeah.
ninth seed.
So he's getting to the age of Ronnie Stanley, where hey, we got to make a change, something, and I have not seen that in at least 4 years. And right now, it's starting to get really sad where I'm starting to I am losing hope in John Harbaugh. I very much so am. And I've been losing it time and time again because of the same reasons we're talking about right now.
I've been lost faith in John Harbaugh.
I believe it.
I just have belief in Lamar Jackson.
I believe it. And I agree. I
I
couldn't
think
agree
at
more.
some point, even with the anchor that is John Harbaugh, I think he still should be able to have the ability to get it done. Um, will it happen? We'll see. You know,
I know.
so I want to go over the remaining games of the season,
Okay.
and I want to know you're just a ballpark guess of what you think could come in store.
Just win or loss. I got you. Okay.
So this week we have the Browns coming up.
The
We're
Browns.
in Cleveland.
I think we'll win. We'll definitely win that one. Even though normally we don't split with Cleveland, what typically we do, we don't definitely normally sweep them, excuse me. But at the same time and token, I feel like at the same time, Lamar is right now trying to go out to win. And I feel like the only smart thing to do is beat Cleveland and end up being 500. It
I
would only be logical.
I agree. I'm really confident in that. Uh, the Browns, they always play us good. Division game, we know that. I just don't have any belief in Dylan Gabriel.
Oh,
All right.
facts. I agree.
Last year they had Jameis Winston. He's capable of putting points up on the board, right? He can have a 400-yard passing day, 5 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. He's capable of doing that. We've seen the good, we've seen the bad with Jameis Winston, right? On the other side of that coin, Dylan Gabriel, we've only seen bad, right? Out of the,
Yeah.
what was it, week 3 he took over?
Mhm.
Yeah, week 3 or 4. So we're what, 5 games in? And in 5 games that I've watched, I could say he maybe played what, 5.5, maybe 6 quarters of good football in
Give or
totality.
take, give or take, and even then they weren't really that good. I would
Yeah,
say it was more average.
I would say below average.
Give or take. Give or take. It's
You know,
probably different between those numbers.
as long as we can contain Junkins like we did in week 2 and get a turnover or two, we should be all right.
I think we can. My only thing is how he has been improving is starting to scare me. Because you know I am from Cleveland and I have been looking at Quinshawn. That is the one Cleveland Browns player I can say on offense. He could either change something or just have a breakout year by himself, just like Jonathan Taylor. I don't think he'll have a problem.
No, I think he's a little bit too far behind to have a breakout year like Jonathan Taylor. That's
I know it sounds crazy to say that now considering he is a rookie, but the way he is playing against tough defenses like, for example, the Packers game, I don't think I've seen that out of a rookie since Cam Scatterbo. And even then, when we've seen rookies in the past, I don't think they have done what Quinshawn has done for that team alone. The guy still, we're talking about a guy that still can run for 5 yards. And then even after contact can get an extra 3. He's doing this every day while losing. I'm going to keep that in mind to you. So, yes, I get your point. It is crazy to say that now. But at the same time, the way he is looking as far as potential is really starting to look like that. Because at the same time, while yes, you are playing with not the greatest offense in the world, probably if not the worst, at the same time, it's not taking away his craft.
yeah, I mean he's certainly the bright spot for them offensively. He is all they have. I would I would tend to say when you are the running back and that's all the team has to produce any offense, it makes it. And you're right, he has played and looked very well within having the box stacked up against him all the time. Sure. Um, I just think a reach for Jonathan
It
Taylor
is a reach, and I agree with
for somebody who's led the league in rushing already and is actually leading in rushing this year as we speak. That's just a high comp that I would say.
that's why I
But
say potential.
play
That's
style, play style, I can agree with you. He's a hard runner. You know what I mean? They both can catch the ball out of the backfield and make somebody miss. So in that aspect, sure, I agree 100%.
and the reason why I say potential is because the way I also look at it, I look at it where it's like a running back normally has a prime of only between they normally last 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, well,
Realistically, that are
three
good
and a half.
they're good years, right?
Yeah.
So when I look at it like that, it's more of if he's got to do this by the next year or two. That's my thing. I'm not expecting him to do this now. I want to keep that in mind for you and for everybody. I don't expect that happening now. But the way he is playing right now, I give him a year or two, he might do it.
Okay. Okay. I mean, they'd have to build that offense. Well,
They
they have to
would.
get a quarterback that can throw the ball
Oh no,
because
for sure. But I
without
can
that, he won't.
but I can definitely yeah, true. But I can definitely say they don't have a terrible line.
Mm-mm.
And if that line can stay up to par in hopes if they can at least get a competent quarterback, not a good quarterback, but a competent quarterback, I can still see them being a decent team next year or two having 8, 9 wins.
I mean, but the beautiful thing is that the Cleveland Browns are the NFL purgatory, so they will never do anything right. So we don't have to worry about that.
True.
But let's so after that we have the Jets, the New
Yeah,
York
no,
Jets.
yeah, we already know how I feel about that one. That one's a blowout. That's gonna treat just like Miami. I, th-
Okay.
I, I I think we all know how that's gonna go. It's gonna be like a Miami game. Absolute built to pass.
If you like it, I love it. Then after that, we have division rival, the Cincinnati Bengals. That will be primetime game at M&T on Thanksgiving.
Now, see, that one is interesting because that can either run the scheme of one of two ways: an offensive shootout or a complete weird out defensive game. And the only reason why I say that is because both those teams are trying to actually improve their defense. Because while they have great offenses, I'm not going to take away the Bengals' offense. Because, I mean, shoot, did you see what Joe Flacco has been doing, even
Hmm.
with losing? Yeah, no, I'm not taking it away from him. So that's why I say it's going to end up in one of two ways. Either the defenses, one of the defensive on those teams are going to do something to show that they can improve, or it's going to be an offensive shootout. It's going to be one or the other. So honestly, I see us winning that game, but I don't see us winning by a lot.
If okay, so if Cincinnati wins their next two games, that's a possible return for Joe Burrow. From what I've been hearing through the grapevines from a couple people up in Cincinnati that are Cincinnati fans, I I wouldn't recommend it
I
if
would.
they did that. I would just sit them down for the rest of the year. But if they're possible can make the playoffs, then I can understand it. But they would have to win that game against us, and I don't see them doing that because
Uh-uh.
as great as Joe Burrow and Joe Flacco make this offense, and to be able to air the ball out with these two great wide receivers, the run game's still suspect, right,
Mm,
with Chase Brown. So the time of possession they don't control, and their
true.
defense is so horrid. In a 2 game span, their defense gave up 1,000 yards. Tines,
Mm, I forgot about that one. Yeah, that's fair.
right? So we understand that that Joe Flacco and Joe Burrow can air the ball out and put up 35 points. Sure. But you're still in the same problem that you had last year when your defense is giving up 38. When you're losing close games to the Ravens, 41-38 because your defense can't stop nothing. Can't stop a nosebleed. And then it doesn't help when, and this is why I want to preface that it's not just the defense last year, right? Everybody wants to pile on just say the defense, but Joe Burrow turned the ball over at crucial times. Three, fourth quarter, fourth quarter, second or last possession.
Mm-hmm.
turnovers.
Yeah. I mean, at the same time, in token though, well, not saying this for all games, but for some of them wins, you also say those are garbage turnovers, depending on time and when that time of possession is in place. Because, like for example, if I throw an interception within a minute left, it's kind of safe to say like the game was over.
Yeah, well, depending on what the score is, down in distance, right?
True. That's why I
It,
asked.
it, that's what I say. I'm speaking on you need this, right? You need to
Okay. Okay.
convert a first down, right, to run the clock out, or you're down and you need to get down there and score.
Okay. My bad. I
These
thought you were speaking.
situations.
I thought you were speaking picks in general. Okay.
No,
That.
no, no, no. Sure. I mean, I get it. If you're losing by 14 and it's 58 seconds left and you're throwing a Hail Mary down the field because it's third down or fourth down, you know what I mean? And the ball gets picked. That's just like a pick. I mean, a punt, So I get that. But I'm talking situational. We are driving down the field. We need either a first down, because that's exactly what he needed to do in the first game against us last year
Mm-hmm.
when he threw the interception to Marlon Humphrey.
Yep.
All they needed was a first down, and
Oh
they
yeah.
could have iced the game.
And even
But
last week, that same thing happened, right?
with
Where they
what
needed a
last?
first down. JJ just threw an absolute bomb out of nowhere of Gray's End, and next thing you know, Marlon was just
Yeah, the Marlon Humphrey, correct.
because
Yep,
I know Malachi had one, Marlon had one, which
yep. Congratulations
congrats,
to him.
Malachi, congrats.
That was the second one too.
Oh yeah, I did forget about that one. I thought it was his first for a minute.
But yeah, so that after the Jets game, like I said, we got the Bengals on Thanksgiving, and these are the most three important weeks of the back half of the schedule. So we have Bengals, Steelers, Bengals.
Those are important to you. Oh, I can understand because speaking divisionally, but I think there's some games that can mean a little bit more.
Which
But
ones? What, the Patriots, Green Bay,
mm-hmm,
Jets? That's I
Patriots,
mean,
Green Bay.
I mean, okay, so when we were at our bye, there was I think 12 games left. Yeah, we had 12 games left. Everybody was trying to say, "Oh, well, we got to win every single one." No, we didn't. No, nobody's going to win all 12 games most likely, right? That's just not going to happen
Right.
realistically. I said 10 out of 12. I'm cool. If we can get 10 out of this 12, that would leave us 10 and 7, right? But the important thing is the the wins have to be against the division rivals.
That's
We
true.
have to win. We have to win this week against the Browns.
That's
We
why.
have to win on Thanksgiving against the Bengals.
Okay.
Steelers the week after that, and the Bengals the week after that.
So you're
That
look.
is
That's what I
four.
thought. So you're looking at it in a divisional aspect right now.
Yeah,
I,
because if you win your division, you're guaranteed a home berth playoff game. You don't have to you don't have to worry about record, you know, head-to-head matchups, conference games. You don't have to worry about all that to make the playoffs.
true, but at the
You
same,
got your number one seed. If you got the number one seed in your division, you are guaranteed a home playoff game.
and I understand that, and I do agree with what you're saying. But I also look at it like this: Lamar is currently 6-1 against Cincinnati. Let's
Hmm.
keep in mind that, right? So there is context that I'm gonna be honest. I see us either or, regardless of what you feel about the division. I see us still sweeping Cincinnati. I don't really take Cincinnati as seriously as a lot of people are saying. No
I never
offense.
have.
Look, I love Joe Burrow. I love Joe Flacco, but I'm not gonna really take their defense that seriously, right? Now, Pittsburgh, that one can be a 50-50 because
Hmm.
we are very well known for splitting Pittsburgh. So I can see your point with that one because that was my point a couple of days ago to Paul, where I was explaining to him, I'm like, you have to understand, if we even lose one of those games with Pittsburgh, that means we're going to have to play a wild card with them again. And do
Not,
I see that being a guaranteed win or loss?
not necessarily. It's possible. You're
It's
right. It's
possible. What I'm
possible.
saying is it's more highly possible than not. Because then, let's say if we do split with Pittsburgh, and right now Pittsburgh has a weaker schedule than us. I don't think they have a stronger end schedule. I think their last couple of games is actually a little bit more easier in the cushion.
No,
Really?
no. That ours is easier.
Who have they faced in the last few weeks, if you don't mind me?
I
I
would,
just a rundown, just a
I
rundown.
got you. I'm pulling it up right now.
Because I swear I thought ours was a little bit harder in the last couple weeks.
No, so ours is a lot easier. As we had our
Yeah, we had the harder ones in the beginning. Yeah.
yes, and theirs was vice versa. They had their easiest games in the beginning of the year, tougher at the back end, just like last year.
Okay. So who? Just give me a rundown from the last 4 or 5 games.
For the last 4 or 5, the next 4 or 5.
Well, you know what I mean. Like the last 4 or 5 games Pittsburgh have to play in order to like really make the playoffs.
So we'll just go down their schedule as well. All right, we got this week they play the Bengals. That's a division game,
True. Yeah, I do
and
remember.
they have already lost to the Bengals once. So if they lose again, they get swept by Cincinnati. Then they have Chicago. Then they have Buffalo. Then they see us on December 7th.
I see your point. Yeah.
Dolphins December 15th. Lions December 21st. Browns December 28th. And the Ravens again on January 4th.
Okay, I see. I didn't know they faced Buffalo. Okay, because I knew they faced Detroit, but I completely forgot they played Buffalo.
Yeah, so you got Detroit, Chicago,
That
and Buffalo.
that makes sense. Okay, yeah. Okay, now I see your point. Okay, so you're looking at it where we have to beat Pittsburgh and Cincinnati now to actually keep our divisional spot. And if we do lose at least one of Pittsburgh or Patriots, it wouldn't really matter on the end because we'll still have 10 wins.
Yeah, because like we could like depending on how it plays out. Like if we lose the 2 games that I said I'm comfortable and okay with losing, and we go 10-7, they would have to we would have to beat them even if we beat them one time. Okay, like what you're saying. If we split with them one time, we would need the Bengals to beat them this week and the Browns to beat them on December 28th because I think they are going to lose to the Browns. They're going to lose. I mean, they're going to lose to the Bears. They're going to lose to the Bills and the Lions. So that's 3 more losses right there. Plus,
I personally think the Bears one's 50-50, though I can see your point. Because I also given consideration of how Caleb has been playing has been a little 50-50 in kind of the same grains of scheme of Aaron Rodgers. I don't really know how that one's going to turn out in the end.
that is true. He does kind of own the Chicago Bears, whether he's in a Packers uniform or a Steelers uniform. We'll see. Like I said, a lot of things have to go a certain way.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm comfortable in thinking that they can just because of just the normal Steelers. They always collapse in the end of the year. Um, I think we control our own destiny. At the end of the day, that's just what it is.
Yeah, I
The
agree.
mantra that I've been saying the last couple weeks is a game at a time, and we'll be fine.
Agreed. And also, just before we start ending this stuff off and get our final takes,
Mhm.
we are going to beat ourselves in the end if things don't go out right.
Yeah,
It's
I
not
mean,
gonna, it's not going to be on the other team, is what I'm saying. It will be
hon-
on.
honestly, that's exactly how it was last year.
Yeah,
So
I'm not even like I'm looking at it where it's like, hey, if that does happen, we're gonna have to change. There's gonna have to be a lot of change because honestly, me sitting as a Baltimore Ravens fan, looking at some of these games, I'm no offense, I'm quite embarrassed.
I 100% agree, especially the Detroit game.
Not even the Detroit game. The Kansas City one was that. No, you're not gonna sit here and tell me you're gonna put Cooper Rush in against Pat. Oh, okay. Anyways, now to the final point. Now that you told me about what I expect, what are your 3 things do you expect for us to actually make the playoffs when it comes to the grand scheme of team?
Uh, First and foremost, defense. Defense has to stay consistent on what they have done for the last 3 weeks, right? Because you went from week one giving up 41. The Browns, I mean, that was the 17 points, but still at seven, the Browns put 17 points on your head that they don't have anybody but Junkins. We've already talked about that.
Mhm.
Uh, 38 to the Lions, 37 to the Chiefs, and 44 to the bad offensive Houston Texans at the time.
Mhm.
Then we turn around and we, what? Even though we lost the game, we held the Rams to 17 points, which in turn the next week put 50 points on the Jackson Jaguars, who were a top five defense at the time. So that's what kind of turned like my like peak interest in that the defense was starting to get it together, right? Then Bears 16 points, Miami 6 points, Vikings 19 points. This is the trend I want to see. I want to see this trend continue, right? If we can go for the rest of the year and hold all these offenses, whether it's the Bengals' high potent offense or the Jets' not so good, anything under 24 points for the rest of the year, nobody got higher than 24. I'm cool with the defense. Now, on the other hand, I don't want to see sputtering in the beginning from the offense, right? When you run your scripted plays, your 15 to 20 scripted plays, if you don't have 10 points out of that, you know what I mean? The first 2 or 3 drives, we got to get points on the board, bro. We don't want to have to rely on the defense to stop them from scoring early, right? You want to get up, control TOP, and
Mhm.
do what you got to do.
Right.
And then third and finally, when it does come down to getting into the red zone and on the other side of the 50, that's when we got to stop sputtering. We need to get more discipline in play call. I mean, in flags, right, and penalties. I'm tired of seeing the same people commit the same stupid, mindless penalties, right? You, like I said about Falele, you know, technique wise, where your hands need to be.
Mhm.
Why are you not getting them there? Why are you grabbing the outside shoulder pad to where you know it's going to clear as day? The ref can see it. And this boils it back down to the word that we said multiple times in this episode, bro. Accountability.
Mhm.
And
Agree.
because there's no accountability, there's
There's no
no there's you're right, there's no structure and there's no discipline. And everything that went awry in the beginning of the season in the locker room transpired and rolled over onto the field. And that's where it all started for me, man. So we gotta get that back, bro. That's probably be the most important. And then the third and last thing is the locker room. We gotta get it back in order and stay in order.
I honestly couldn't agree with you anymore because yeah, when it comes to team chemistry and when it comes to the grand schemes of being consistent, it is one of the most important things that you need is accountability and being there for the team and not just for yourself. And while yes, being for yourself does come first, at the same time, being in a group of a 53-man roster isn't. You kind of have to be a little bit humble and kind of bite the tongue on a few things, even if you don't like them. And I think that's where a lot of people right now on our roster are trying to deal with. And I don't think they're dealing with it well, especially guys like Derrick Henry, guys like Roquan, guys like Lamar Jackson. I don't think they're handling it too well.
I can
And
understand that.
I mean, it explains why they're so quiet because I'm gonna be honest, like I've never in my life seen Roquan this quiet. He's normally not quiet. If like if people don't understand how verbal Roquan usually is. I haven't heard him say a thing this year. He has been on yep.
I mean, we'll see. It's remains to be seen. It can't be fixed overnight. Like I said, a week at a time and we'll be fine, bro. Or we gotta, you know, dial in, have a good scheme, and execute. That's all we can do. That's all we can ask for, and hope the coaching staff and the players oblige.
I agree. And that is a good way to end it off here. This is your boy Tinez and your boy Bag. I want to shout out a few people here before we do end off, though. First things first, I do want to shout out Not Moved for us to continue doing this. Shout out A Train and Otis for them in their fantasy football scheme of things. Jimmy and Ja with it when it comes to them and their UFC. I think they've been doing a great job. Honestly, I'm blessed to see that we have been growing. Even guys like Moss, who's been doing WNBA and
He's
also
been, he's been,
basketball.
yeah.
He's
Moss has
been
been
so,
smashing it.
God bless him. I think he'll definitely improve and actually, do things better with his life. I know he's gone right now. He is gone. I did forget about that. Thank you for reminding me. But I know that in time and future, he'll definitely come back, though. But who else? Who have I forgot here? Did I forget anybody, Bag?
Yeah, Betters, Southgate with the parlays.
I did
You want to
better.
tap in with them. They are definitely holding things down when it comes to that forte of the podcast. And you can't forget about Coach's Corner. When you want to break down some film or you want to talk to somebody who's got some real knowledge, like actual, that knows the terminology. They can break down different plays, different schemes, and how the game is covered. That's the guy to go to.
And also for anybody, when it comes to our merch, go to notmoved.com and put in a promo code NOTMOVED, and you will get a discount on your first purchase.
Yeah, get that fly NMP merch, you dig?
Alrighty, this is your boy Tinez and Bag signing off. Not moved. Log in or log out, and we better count our blessings because God bless.
That
I don't know.
part. Not move. We out. The flock block. Gang, gang.
This non-casual podcast may not be reproduced, retransmitted, or reused without the authorized written consent of the Not Move Podcast Network. Thank you, and we hope you enjoyed today's broadcast.